kids, where are you? It's time for all the art to tell stories.
In the heart of a peaceful, sun-drenched valley, there was a small village named Verdant Hill. The village was known for its lush greenery, flowing rivers, and bountiful harvests. The people who lived there cherished the land that provided them with everything they needed. Every year, they gathered during the harvest season to celebrate the abundance of crops that fed their families and sustained their lives. Life in Verdant Hill seemed perfect as long as nature kept giving its blessings. But one year, something changed. The sky, which had always been generous with rain, turned cold and dry. The soft clouds that once carried refreshing rain drifted away, leaving behind a burning sun that beat down relentlessly on the land. Weeks turned into months, and still, no rain came. The rivers dried up, the fields turned to dust, and the crops withered under the oppressive heat. The villagers grew desperate, for their survival depended on the water they once took for granted. As the drought stretched into its second year, the once cheerful village became somber. The children, who used to run and play in the fields, now stayed close to their homes, their games and laughter replaced by the silent worry that filled the air. The adults worked tirelessly to keep the remaining crops alive, but with little success. The wells, once full of fresh, clean water, were now nearly dry. Verdant Hill was on the brink of collapse. Among the children of Verdant Hill was a curious young girl named Elara. Elara was known for her bright spirit and her love for the outdoors. She often spent her days exploring the nearby woods, picking wildflowers and watching the clouds. But as the drought worsened, she could no longer enjoy her favorite pastimes. The flowers had wilted, the grass was brown, and the trees had begun to lose their leaves. Even the birds, which once filled the air with their songs, had grown quiet. Elara's heart ached for the beauty that had once surrounded her village. She missed the feel of the cool breeze on her face and the sound of the river flowing by. Most of all, she missed the rain. She missed the way it danced on the rooftops and brought the earth back to life after a long, hot day. Elara knew that without the rain, her village would soon wither away, just like the crops in the fields. One evening, as Elara sat on the steps of her home, gazing up at the cloudless sky, her grandfather, Elder Kai, joined her. Elder Kai was one of the village's oldest and wisest members. He had lived through many seasons, both good and bad, and was known for his calm and thoughtful demeanor. Elara loved listening to his stories, especially those about the village's history and the natural world. "Grandfather," Elara said softly, "why has the rain left us? What did we do wrong?" Elder Kai looked down at his granddaughter with a gentle smile. "We have not done anything wrong, child," he replied. "Nature follows its own rhythm, and sometimes that rhythm is hard for us to understand. The rain will come again when the time is right. Until then, we must be patient and take care of the land as best we can." "But what if it never comes back?" Elara asked, her voice trembling with worry. Elder Kai placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "The rain will return, Elara. It always does. And when it does, we will be reminded of how precious it is. Sometimes it takes hardship for us to truly appreciate the gifts we have." Elara thought about her grandfather's words that night as she lay in bed. She knew he was right. The rain would return eventually, but how long would it take? And would her village be able to survive until then? The days passed, and the drought continued. The villagers worked together to ration what little water they had left. They took turns collecting water from the remaining wells and shared what they could with their neighbors. Despite the challenges, the people of Verdant Hill remained kind and generous to one another, holding on to hope that the rain would soon return. One morning, Elara woke up to an unusual sight. The sky, which had been clear for so long, was filled with dark clouds. A cool breeze swept through the village, carrying with it the scent of moisture. The air felt different, alive with anticipation. Elara jumped out of bed and ran outside, her heart pounding with excitement. Could it be? Could the rain finally be coming? The villagers gathered in the town square, their faces turned toward the sky. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the first drops to fall. And then, with a soft patter, it began. The rain, gentle at first, quickly grew into a steady downpour. The villagers cheered, their joy spilling over as they danced in the rain. After months of waiting, the gift they had longed for had finally arrived. Elara stood in the middle of the square, her arms outstretched as the rain soaked her clothes and hair. She laughed and spun in circles, feeling the cool water on her skin. It was more wonderful than she had remembered. The rain washed away the dust and the worry, bringing life back to the village and its people. As the rain continued to fall, the fields began to transform. The parched earth drank in the water, and within days, the crops started to recover. The rivers flowed once more, and the wells filled up with fresh water. Verdant Hill was alive again, thanks to the gift from the sky. That evening, after the rain had subsided, the villagers gathered in the town square to celebrate. Elder Kai stood at the center, his wise eyes twinkling as he addressed the crowd. "My friends," he began, "today we have received a great gift. The rain has returned, and with it, life has returned to our village. But let us not forget the lesson we have learned during this time of drought. Water is precious, and we must cherish it, just as we cherish the land and each other." The villagers nodded in agreement. They had endured a great hardship, but they had come out stronger and more united. They had learned to appreciate the simple things: the rain, the crops, and the support of their community. Elara, standing beside her grandfather, felt a deep sense of gratitude. She had always loved the rain, but now she understood just how important it was. She promised herself that she would never take it for granted again. In the days that followed, the village of Verdant Hill flourished. The fields were green once more, and the people worked together to ensure that the land was well cared for.